It's my great pleasure to welcome Michael Berberian, the head of Season of Mist. He's the man behind the company's success for over 30 years now, which goal is to be as big record label as possible, but while still being authentic, innovative, and extreme. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
First of all, you started out not by releasing metal, but writing about it. So there is still some hope for me, I guess. So tell me about your beginnings at Decibel Storm magazine.
I was actually at Decibel Storm magazine. I wrote a few reviews, but that was not my main thing. I was helping organize shows. So I was helping, like the magazine was how the company was known, but I was helping with the logistic of the shows. And we had like bands like Samael, Morbid Angel, Atheist. That was 1991, so the very early days of death metal and black metals, and they were the first concerts of this style in the south of France. So that's how I got into the scene.
So was it more like a booking agency?
No, it was local shows. There was no booking agency. That concept didn't exist back then. There was only one called Metallisé, a Belgium one. They were doing all the tours in extreme metal. They were the only one. And when they had, sometimes they needed a show between Italy and Spain, and Marseille was in the way. It was that simple. So it was like, yeah, we were the one stop for the shitty Tuesday night. That was our shows.
Okay, so you are witnessing the born of extreme metal in the form that we know right now.
Yeah, it was the very early days. Yeah, there was nobody at the shows. I mean, I remember booking Immortal and having 80 people. Yeah, that was rough.
Okay, but in 1995, you founded your own label, and what was the spark that ignited?
So by booking shows, I started knowing a little bit. Some people got into this genre of music. They started liking it. And there was this record shop in my hometown called Kaleidoscope. And I offered the guys, like, hey, we are having more than 100, maybe 200, 300 people at our shows. Nobody can buy CDs. I mean, vinyl were not a thing in the early 90s. They were not a thing anymore. So I was just basically buying a few CDs from labels and selling them to that shop or selling them during the show. And after doing that for a year or two, I thought, like, why am I not printing myself a CD? I know all these bands who are looking for labels because I was tape trading. I was getting all these demos that were good. So I wrote a few bands. And a few bands said, yeah, you can print my demo on CDs, no problem. That was Campfire, for example, or one of them, the very first Campfire, the demo. It's basically the demo that I printed on CDs. That's what it was. So I just started by accident. It was not planned.
It sounds easy.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It was just having the idea and having the guts to do it, I guess.
Okay, and back then the French metal underground was dominated by two very important labels back in the days, Osmose Productions and Holy Records.
And Adiposer.
And Adiposer, yeah. And did you try to compete with them, or did they guide your own path?
They were better than me on a lot of points. They were a little bit older than me, so they had signed the right bands at the right time. Like Osmose had signed Marduk, they had signed Immortal. He had already good bands. He had Samael, he had Rolling Christ, he had everything. Holy Records had like Septic Flesh, Nightfall. I came a little bit after this when I decided to become professional at the label. Like the big bands were already, the game was played. So I didn't have the opportunity to get the right bands, but I had the opportunity to do it better. To be a little bit more professional, to be a little bit more organized, to think more long term, and it worked. It worked, but honestly, they had the right bands, and I started with what was left.
So you were late at the party?
A little bit, yeah. I was the last one at the party, but I'm the only one who's still around.
Okay, Osmose is still active.
Yeah, they're still active, but they decided to remain purely underground, not to give a shit, do like the most extreme and offensive black metal you can. We don't do that anymore.
Okay, and your first release album, correct me if I'm wrong, was the debut of Oxyplegats.
Correct.
The band Alf Svensson founded after living at the Gates.
Yes.
And did that album say well?
It did okay. I mean, considering how weird that shit was. I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about operatic black metal. I don't know even how to describe it today.
Very avant-garde-ish.
Yes, it was. It was weird. It was just weird. It did okay. It did okay.
Okay, and what was after that?
A Norwegian band called Betzida, and the third one was Campfire. So Betzida has been forgotten by time now, but Campfire is still around. And then after that, there was a few friend Anorexia Nervosa, who became big in France, and then basically we released Bloodthorn and Oceans. It's very like some black metal, some of whose bands are still around, like and Oceans. But we remained kind of small and underground until a few years later.
Okay, you studied economics
Yes.
at the university.
Yes.
And now I will ask you a rather tricky question, if you wouldn't mind. Did your knowledge of finance help or hurt you in running a metal label? Because I suspect that passion, especially at the beginning,
Yeah.
could overtook cool economic analysis.
So what I studied in economics was actually the history of economics.
Okay.
And I can tell you, studying 2,000 pages of Karl Marx doesn't help with building a company. So no, it had nothing to do with it. It was like all of my studies didn't help me in any ways, at all. I didn't do accounting. I didn't do finance. I did it would be worth it for a politician, not for me, not for a business owner. So not related.
And what about calculating the budgets and stuff like that?
But you learn. I mean, if you know how to count, and it's a business. Like I have Tim Chilton right there, who's been doing this as long as I do. It's a business where you have to learn everything on your own. There's no school. There's nothing. You have to understand and adapt all the time. There's no rule. There's not a book that you can study. It just happened one thing after the other. Like when we started, we were selling a ton of physical products. Now we don't. When piracy happened, physical products are dead. Everybody streams. Everybody does YouTube. Like all this evolution, everything changed. In this industry, everything changed every 6 months. Like the way you do promotion now has nothing to do with the way you did promotion 5 years ago. It's been a constant evolution, and it was really adapt or die. So no studies.
So only certain thing is changing,
Yes.
really.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, and when did the turning point come? When did you become convinced that this label actually made sense?
1999. 1999, I was finishing my studies, and I had the option of either keeping on with my studies and working in a bank or something boring like that. Sorry, there's any bankers around, but yeah. Or I had the chance to take a shot, decide to register as a company, because I was not registered as a company before. There's this weird French system where it was a non-profit, basically. In 1999, I decided to try to sign bigger bands and register as a company and do this full time. Quit my studies, and I started to try to sign bigger bands. The first one was an American band called Nocturnus, who was big at that time, who pretty much were one of the band who invented technical death metal, and the second one was Mayhem.
And now we have my next question. At the dawn of
I figured.
At the dawn of new millennium, you signed with Mayhem, and they automatically became the biggest band on your label. And what were you thinking when they came to you with stuff like a grand declaration of war?
So I heard it in a hotel room in Sweden, and honestly, I liked it. I liked it because it was super avant-garde. It was a weird album for that time. And of course, you're in a black metal genre where every innovation was regarded as a betrayal. And they went full in saying, fuck you, we do what we want. And I remember the first concert I saw with Mayhem, they did a cover of Dead Kennedys. I guess half of the black metal audience didn't know who Dead Kennedys was. So Mayhem were the right band for the right label in a way that we both wanted to reinvent the wheel a little bit. Like we wanted to do things different. And yeah, that worked. It worked well. And I mean, we did a white cover for a black metal album and weird pictures, weird sounds. It just worked.
But I suppose that you invested a shitload of money.
No, it was not cheap, for sure, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it was a risk behind it.
Like, of course, because when I signed Mayhem, I was absolutely nobody. The story how I signed Mayhem, the random phone call, it's known by now. I've told it a million times, kind of tired of saying the story. But yes, he was sitting in a pub. A friend of mine saw Necrobutcher, and I asked him, please give him a phone. He gave him the phone, and he didn't know me. He was like, hi, I have a record label. I know you're looking for a deal. If you come to Marseille, I'll pay for your plane ticket, and we'll talk. The guy stayed silent for like 10 seconds. He's like, I like people with balls. I'll come. So he came to Marseille. Really, that's how it happened. He came to Marseille. We talked for 2 days. I promised a shit ton of money that I didn't have. And we made the deal.
Okay. So what was the idea to collecting this money that you didn't have?
Sold everything that I had, moved back to my parents, stopped paying rent, sold my car, sold all my vinyl collection. And then I turned around to my distributors of the time. And it's funny because one of them sitting here, Tim again, like Tim Chilton from Plastic Head. So I went to all these people who were my distributor and I told them, hey, it was in French franc back then. So I told them basically, do you want to pay now the Mayhem €5? Or do you want to pay it at release date €7 or $7.50? The only thing, I need the money I need it now. And a lot of them helped. Displeased, Adiposaire, Plastic Head. Like, enough, because of course I went to banks and banks wouldn't look at me. It's like, what the fuck are you thinking? You're not going to get... And I was asking for like €20,000, which seems like nothing today. And yeah, they all said no. So I went to distributors and I managed to, by selling everything that I had and by asking people, okay, take the bet with me, pay me now, you get it for cheap, you make the profit later. Enough people paid me, and yes, it worked. I paid Mayhem, and we released it, and it was successful. And it was successful. It's still, till today, my biggest physical release. I mean, now with digital, there's other bands that do way more than Mayhem, of course, but it's in physical products, it's the bands that I sold the most, it's that album.
Okay. So this is the sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen.
It's taking a risk.
Taking risk. And Mayhem at that time, they themselves confirmed this. And I saw it firsthand at Mystic Festival in Krakow in 2001. They were a truly dangerous band.
Yep.
And how did you cope with that? Because it was on the verge of madness, really.
Yep.
Some of the members,
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about. And do you have any, crazy stories that you can share with us, of course?
Them being kicked out of airplanes because they're too drunk when they're boarding the plane. The first US tour we organized for them, just imagine this. Maniac goes through the security, so you're talking about the US custom, and they have the guitar case. And the custom officer asks, what's in your guitar case? Shotguns. So that's how you enter the US your first time in history. Like, I should write a book, or they should write a book about all the stupid things they did. But it's really funny. It's really funny.
I have some personal story concerning with Mayhem at that time. I was 20 years ago or something like that. It was basically 2001 at already mentioned Mystic Festival in Krakow. I came into their room on the backstage to make the interview, and Maniac cut himself with the knife, and Blasphemer kicked the wall with his leg and banged the head into this wall, and it was the mood to
First,
conduct an interview.
the first day I met Maniac, we got into a fight because he put blood on my face. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yes, very, very, but that's why they're unique. They're still crazy, by the way. They're a little bit more calm because they're adults now, I guess, but they're still crazy.
But you're not so sure.
Yeah. No, very wild band, very wild band.
Okay.
And by the way, I want to rephrase something that I said earlier. I gotta give credit for this because one of the distributor, that not one of the one that financed me, but back then there was a small Polish label that was doing tape license, and that's how it started. And that label was Mystic with Michal in 1993, 1994. He's been there for as long as we have.
Yeah, kudos. Speaking of black metal, you've been on many enemy lists.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
There was even an anti-Season of Mist campaign led by Black Legion's guys and stuff like that. How did it start and how did it end?
Well, basically, I was booking shows in Marseille, right? And I had security. Everybody was like trying to Seagal got kicked out. And I'm a big guy, so they never were looking for a fight with me. So the only way they could do that is sending like these handwritten threats with lots of spelling mistakes, which we were laughing at. Come on, it was ridiculous. Never took it serious for 1 second. I was putting them at the pub. I was framing them and putting them at the pub where we were going out to drink. Like, look at these fucking kids. They were a few years younger than me. They didn't know any better. Whatever. Come on. It was harmless. And never took it seriously.
No bomb attacks?
No.
Yeah, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
And in the following years, you signed Rotting Christ, Vatine, Soulstafier, and metal giants like Nuclear Blast, Century Media, Metal Blade have felt your breath down their necks.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
And from today's perspective, do you consider that time as the first decade of this millennium as the best period of your label, the most successful?
No. Honestly, the most successful is now.
Okay.
Because right now we have that band Heilung, who headlined Mystic a few years back. They are by far the biggest projects we ever touched. In terms of people coming to the shows, in terms of number of streams, that's a different league. So I consider that now and the years to come will be my bigger year, not the past.
Okay. And you already mentioned about the impact that digital sales had on your label. Many people behind the record companies and work in the music industry are complaining about that. That okay, the records are not selling anymore and stuff like that. And what do you say?
It's true that if you compare the decrease of physical products compared to the increase of digital, it doesn't match. It doesn't compensate. However, I'm going to name classic albums are a different story. Let's take, for example, one of my top 10 most streamed albums, even today, is Septic Flesh Communion. That album has classics, and this is by far their most successful album. And to this day, there's still, even if I don't have a band anymore, the fact that when you go to listen to Septic Flesh, you listen to Communion, or it's on all the playlists, you still get paid 20 years after its release, all the time. I don't think we would sell physical products anymore, but the streaming is more a long-term game. And even if we were laughing at the beginning of digital, because the numbers we were getting 10,000 euro advance, we're like, yay, it's fucking fantastic, they'll never recoup that. Now the numbers in digital are actually, they mean something. It's starting to be relevant, really. It's not, the golden days of the music industry are gone. It used to be a very high margin business. It's not anymore. We are less powerful than we used to. Now there's no magazines. You have to do everything via, it's basically algorithm. It's completely different to break a band, but now if it goes viral, it's worldwide and it's massive. So it's really, there's some good and some bad, but obviously it's still possible to be in this business. It's still possible to live from it. It's still possible to build a company from it. You just have to be a little bit clever about it and adapt. But no, digital is not the enemy. It's not.
Okay, the friend of mine who works in a big record label and one of the major labels here in Poland, one day says to me, "We all dream about virals."
I don't.
And do you dream about virals? Could you think that
About vinyls?
Virals.
Virals, okay.
Viral popularity in
Yeah, of
social
course,
media
of course,
and stuff.
yeah.
And do you think that it's gonna work in extreme metal?
Yes. Yeah, well, there's many examples in the past years. Sleep Token, nobody expected them to become that big. They went viral. They did. Heilung did. I mean, when you have a first band at their first show and they get 24 million streams on their first video, that's kind of viral.
Yeah.
So it can happen. You just need to have the right band with the right image who's doing something that's never done before. I mean, Polyphia is gigantic now. Who would have expected this kind of complex music to become that big? There's many examples. Yes, there's still a chance. You just need to be very unique in what you do.
Okay, so it's not only the blind luck.
No. But there's in all this music industry, there's one variable that people forget about. It's talent, and that's, I don't have a lack of better word, a God-given gift. You have it or you don't. You need the luck and the talent. It's the combination of both that makes a big band.
Or basically the idea behind the project. You know?
Yeah.
The concept. Okay, let's back to the
Ghost.
Ghost, yeah, you name it. Let's back to the past for a while again. 2011, you released new album of Morbid Angel, and history repeats itself. It's very experimental, unconventional stuff. And the difference between Grand Declaration of War and that Morbid Angel album is that Mayhem record is now considered a modern classic, and Illud Divinum
A disaster.
a beautiful disaster.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it 15 years later, and what have you thought back then?
That's a long story.
We have a time.
Disappointment at first, because two-person wrote this album, but mainly Trey wrote the album. And when the shitstorm started, Trey disappeared. And David is the only one who stood. Like, I consider David a friend now, David Vincent, because he stood for the album. He was like, yeah, we did that. I'm proud of it. We're going to defend this thing. Trey just avoided the whole thing. It was a disaster. It was very badly received. When I heard it the first time, I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's too much. But
Too extreme.
yeah, it's too extreme. I mean, I told them, like, why don't you separate side A, side B, make a double CD, one CD with the pure Morbid Angel tracks, one CD with the experimental stuff, and it would have went super well. But they wanted, it's the artist's decision. We're just a label. We're just supposed to promote what they give us. So I really cannot interfere with the artist's vision and decision, and that was their decision. So yes, I lost pretty much the price of an apartment on this record, to be honest. Could I bought an apartment, I would still have it today. That album was a fucking disaster. On the other hand, Season of Mist signing Morbid Angel helped me sign so many bands after that knew the label, because we had Mayhem, and then we had Cynic, and then we had Morbid Angel, we had Dillinger Escape Plan that we had signed. We were, yeah, like you said, breathing down the neck of the bigger labels. So sometimes you need to invest. When you take risks, sometimes you lose. When you gamble, sometimes you lose. It's part of a charm. Yeah. So yeah, it was a disaster.
Okay, and what was the story with Phil Anselmo signing with Season of Mist?
No, he was going to play tonight.
Yeah?
And, two times. No, one time today, one time tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it happened, to be honest. Yeah, no, he was having his label.
Housecore.
Yes, Housecore, thank you. So he was having Housecore, and Housecore was very poorly distributed in Europe. And the guy who was running my US office back then, Palette, knew them through the I Had God guys. Because we had signed when I Had God had split it up for a little bit. we did their side project, which was called Outlaw Order. When nobody cared about Hi-Hat God, you could not sell it. It was early 90s, nobody cared about that. It's one of the bands who became famous much later, like Sleep. Nobody cared about Sleep in the 90s, and then 2010 they were big.
True.
Yeah. So we were working with Hi-Hat God, and Pellet, my US guy, told me, hey, why don't you do the Philippe Anselmo in Europe? So we tried, and at some point it's like, okay, we are supposed to distribute you in Europe. We never get any product on time. We never get information. We never get sales sheets. You're completely disorganized. Why don't you let us print the CD, license them, distribute them in Europe, and we'll pay you? And that's what happened for a little while. And it worked basically until he reunited Pantera. Then you had bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. You haven't had much luck with Polish bands, and likewise. Okay.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, you've only released Disperse and Misantour, which, with all due respect, weren't so successful bands.
No.
And I assume you tried to sign both Behemoth or Mgła. Why didn't it work out?
No, it didn't work out because Mgła were independent,
Yeah.
and Behemoth were already on Nuclear Blast. I know Adam for years. We respect each other, but we never worked together. Maybe we will one day.
But, sorry, then interrupting you, but before they signing to Nuclear Blast, they were on the Regain Records.
Yeah.
So-
Regain was same size as us back then. You can't get everyone, you know. But honestly, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not licking anyone's ass, the Portuguese scene right now is probably the best in Europe.
Portuguese?
Yeah, but sorry, Polish.
Okay.
I love Tides from Nebula. Love that band. Saw them yesterday, first time live. I want to sign that band. I will push it until I have it one day. I think they're the best instrumental band in our world, better than Russian Circle. Love that band.
Okay.
Grosha, Mgła, I probably pronounce it wrong, but you have Odraza?
Odraza, yeah.
Yeah, pronounce it wrong, sorry, as I said. Beautiful bands. All of them unsignable. Obscure Things. Tried to sign them. Couldn't make it happen. Had the contract drafted, they never signed it. Same from Tides from Nebula. I tried to sign so many Polish bands. They've been extremely hard to work with. And extremely doubtful about signing with a label. And they all wanted to remain independent. And sometimes I think that harmed them, because I think based on the quality of the Polish scene right now, it should be much bigger than it is. And the only one who understood business in this whole Polish scene is Nergal. That's the only one who got it. The other ones didn't. Sorry.
Okay, and do you have some, I don't know, assumption why was that?
You tell me. I'm not Polish. I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
very interesting.
You make very, very good music. You have one of the best scene, and it's very hard for you to get out of Poland, and only a few bands wants to. I don't know.
Okay, maybe we have some kind of distrust in our DNA. I
Maybe
don't
you
know.
don't like French people. I don't fucking know.
Okay, Michael, speaking of missed opportunities, let's talk about the biggest one. You missed the chance.
Gojira.
Yeah, you missed.
yeah.
You missed to sign Gojira.
Yeah.
Also picked up the French.
That will be written on my grave. Yeah, I know.
French band, the French label, Listenable. How much do you regret it?
So a lot, but it's my son's favorite band, so don't worry, he gives me a lot of shit about it all the time.
Okay.
But
So
basically,
it's the burden that you have to carry.
yes. But what I got offered by Van Gogh was a tiny band. They had released The Link, which I didn't particularly like. It was before From Mars to Sirius. And I got offered to sign Gojira for export only, when they were only selling in France back then. So I was offered the Crumbles. I had no idea that From Mars to Sirius would be a milestone in extreme metal. And I had no idea that they would become the next generational band. I fucked up. Yeah, no excuse.
Who could guess?
Laurent from Listenable took the risk, and good for him.
He had the luck.
Yeah.
On the other hand, on the contrary, really, what was the biggest surprise that you didn't believe that
Heilung.
Heilung, yeah?
Heilung. We signed Heilung. It was a Bandcamp band, and they had sold maybe 500 CDs. 4 years later, they sold. Sorry. I'm so involved in Heilung on many levels that sometimes it's not my band. It's their success. Okay, but within 4 years, selling 10,000 tickets alone in the US for one show, no opening band, that's massive. That's massive. And now what's happening in the future is gigantic. Yeah.
And a few years back, I was invited. I had a chance to participate in the event, the listening party of Heilung record that was held in Copenhagen. Before pandemic, it was in 2019, I suppose, and it was in the era that no listening party no longer exists.
Yeah.
Because it's
Old school.
old school. But I realized back then that Heilung is really a big thing.
Yeah.
If you still could manage something like that, some kind of event.
Yeah. Yeah, we really believed in it early on, and it just took off like a rocket. And yeah, it was not supposed to be that big. It was supposed to be some landscape music, and somehow they managed to. Come on, it's a unique live experience. It's really a unique live experience. It's like on the borderline between watching a theater and a concert. It's really fantastic.
It's very performative.
Yeah, and it just works, and we just really put a lot of effort in it. We became friends, and we're involved on many levels with the band, and to this day, with our booking agent, Doomstar, it's like really a close collaboration between three people, and looking forward to the future with them and bigger things.
Okay, now let's move on to more general question.
Yep.
We still have time to do it.
Yeah, I know I talk fast. But
Yeah, very. But not like the Morgan from Marduk. He's like a machine gun.
Yeah, I know.
Why do bands still need labels?
All right, so that's a question I got asked a million times.
Sorry.
That's okay. I have this. I'm sorry for the people who heard it before, but I have a real good metaphor for it. You want to build your house. Do you know how to do electricity, plumber, tiles, structure? Do you know there's only a handful of people who can build a house from the ground up and it's going to stand? There's only a few bands that can build everything. Do you know how to do algorithmic promotion? Do you have a distribution network? Do you have a booking agent network? Do you have a festival network? Do you know where to press your record? It's like, you want to build a house, you want to do it well, you take an architect and professionals who are going to do it for you. It's the same for a band. Without that, good luck. Good luck.
I can only bring them the money from the ATM machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Yeah. So no, but there's some. Recently I had a talk with Gene Oglen. So Dark Angel came back, right? They had the first album in 30 years. And Dark Angel is one of those bands that they were massive back in the day. They're a really quintessential thrash band. And they came back 30 years later. They have their first album. They put it out themselves. They were not on Spotify. They didn't know how to do promotion.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. It was like, in the Olympics, sometimes you have a false start. It was a false start. And then Gene now is talking to people saying, okay, let's patch this up. I actually need a label to do this. And that's Gene Oglen. And he kind of has the connection, you know what I mean? So it's, yeah, you do need a label, yeah.
Okay, we already mentioned that the only constant thing is changing, but what's the future of metal labels these days? How do you foresee?
So first you need to have an expertise in the new ways of promoting a band. And right now it's pretty much, you need to have some young Gen Z kids who understand digital marketing and social media. That's how you do promotion nowadays, it's this way. Where to put your money, how to spend your money on YouTube ads, which campaigns to kill, which campaign to push, how does it work? I mean, recently we had a band that we just signed that nobody heard of, called The Virgos, and they haven't released an album yet with us, just one song. We have 250,000 views on YouTube, because we pushed the algorithm and we knew the video was really cool and people were gonna laugh at it and people would love the music. So from 0 to 250,000 views in a month, we are just algorithmic twitching and spending your money like this. So that's what a label, first, be an expert at promoting your band the modern way. That's one thing. Have a network, have a distribution, have your own warehouse, ship directly to your customer. Don't be lazy by taking somebody else to do it for you. Do all these things. Supply a service to bands, and you'll be essential to them.
Okay, and as you know, I'm running one of the very last metal magazine,
Yes.
printed metal magazine here in Poland, and this is kind of a rhetoric question, but I would ask anyway. Do you think the paper is dead?
I thought vinyl was dead,
Okay.
and vinyl's not dead.
Is there a chance?
There's a chance, yes, because some people, like, you have a new generation of kids who are trying to collect CDs again now because it's something that's disappeared and it's hip and it's like, music is a cycle. Vinyl was dead and came back. Printed paper will be big again. I mean, I know people paying fortunes for like fanzines from the 90s, like Slayer Mag and things like that. It just happened 30 years later. So yes, printed magazine. And I mean, I loved printed magazine back in the days because for me, a good magazine was a tastemaker. There were a few people in the industry where you knew if they wrote a good review that you would like this album and you would follow their tastes. Nowadays, there's no tastemakers anymore because it's all algorithmic and it's all playlisting.
Or there are too many tastemakers?
There are too many. Everybody thinks they are, you know? But that's something I was thinking about, like having a YouTube channel with 5 or 6 top journalists from back in the days and having them review and argue about bands and see when they have a consensus. That would be interesting, but everybody's in his own corner, in his own niche. Printed magazine, have opinions. Tell what is good, what is bad. When I read a review, I want to know what I should buy this month or what I should listen to this month. And that's where it's essential. And with time, it became more, I'm nice to everybody because I know to be nice to every label. The opinions got less. It was more tame. And I think it will come back, but you know, more.
Because over the years, they became more dependent
On ads.
on the labels, on
Yes.
the ads.
And now labels don't have any money, so that's easy. You don't have to depend on us. You can talk shit about us if you want. And that's what
Okay.
people want. If you want to kill a band, kill it. And I think it's more interesting for people to read, and then maybe people will come to magazines. I don't know. Just my take.
Okay, so what are you planning in the near future? What will really surprise us in?
So, surprise. Few good signings cooking, a classic band, yes. I launched a clothing brand with a Heilung guys called All North, which is a new fun project. Many things happening, but nothing I can really reveal right now. But we're not done.
Okay.
We're not done.
Okay, our conversation is coming to the conclusion, but before we will leave the building, it's time for questions for the audience. So the floor is yours. Unfortunately, I can see you
Yeah, we can't see anything, so.
because of lights. So. Do we have some questions? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technology.
Are you going to hear me? Because
Yes.
it's not working.
Yes.
Check.
Okay, now we're good. Okay, thanks. So recently I heard this interview with the English band Winterfilleth,
Yep.
who actually played yesterday.
Yeah.
Awesome gig. And they were talking about how they had left their previous label. I think it was Candlelight Records. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Because of the fact that they were poorly promoted, right? And the interviewer put forward this thesis, I'll call it that what the labels need to do right now, in these times, is just to promote the band, print the physicals of the vinyl, the CD, and distribute it. And that's all they're good for. That's his words, not mine. And because of that, because of this less tight, coupling between the band and the label should be more careful to treat the bands properly, not to, pardon my French, fuck them over, because of this loose coupling, the band can find a different label which will do the job better.
Absolutely.
With the example of Winterfell.
Well, Winterfell, to give you...
Do you agree with all of that?
Absolutely, and the full spectrum is actually when Winterfell were signed to Candlelight got sold to Spinefarm, which is a major label, belongs to Universal, and the person who was running Winterfell and their closest friend, Darren Toms, got fired. So basically, the person who brought them to the label got kicked off, got fired. So they had no points of contact and nobody gave a shit about them. So that's the danger when you sign with a major, because the person you're in contact with might be gone tomorrow. Well, the band, I signed the band directly, they have my private number, and they can call me 30 years later and I answer. So that's the difference between an independent label and a major. And yes, you need to do a good job because there's so much competition between us. If you fuck up a band, they will leave. I mean, bands are whores. They will sign somewhere else for $1 more sometimes. So you have to be very good at your job for them to stay. And sorry. So I kept bands for 20 years for a reason, because I paid them and because I was trying to do the best that I could. Another question? So I can offend more people?
Okay.
Technology.
Hello? And now it does. Right. The previous question was strictly, I would say, production-wise and very professional. Mine will be private. You've mentioned that investment in Mayhem cost you your vinyl collection that you sold out.
Yep.
Did you recover it from it?
No. Impossible. Impossible. No.
So it's done and dusted. It's gone.
Yeah. I gave up on vinyl. I hate vinyl since that day. And when vinyl became popular again, I hated that I had to change the warehouse because vinyl is so heavy. I had to buy different shelves. I have 0 vinyl at my place. Okay. But I think it's let's put it on PTSD trauma from selling all those. The Pink Mayhem first edition signed by Euronymous and all that Burzum shit. I had everything. I have nothing now. It's okay.
So these scars won't heal.
No,
if it's PTSD, it has to be treated. And
Yeah.
If you don't treat it, it just lasts and grows in you.
I collect other stuff, trust me. That's okay.
I imagine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's one more.
Just a very simple question. What were Watain like to work with? Because Watain, I'm sure there are tales around that band.
As crazy as Mayhem, as you can imagine. Stabbing other bands in the tour bus. Yes. I'm going to give Eric from Watain credit for being one of the most driven and actually clever person that I've met in this industry from a band. With Nurgle from Behemoth, for example. And Eric quickly understood the fine line between fucking up his career and remaining authentic. And I think he walked that line almost perfectly. So, yeah, to answer a question directly, how were they to work with? Chaos at first, but clever enough to become organized and reliable and a force of a band, a generational band, within a few years.
I mean, when you heard Lawless Darkness, did you realize you had a classic?
First listen. awesome records. It's one of the classics. Well, I've released a few classic records. Thank God it's one of them. Absolutely.
Oh, why do you think that record in particular is a classic?
Because I'm gonna offend too many people that I know here. Black metal had became less dangerous. It was becoming tame and boring, and Watain really reignited the flame. They made the black metal dirty again. They made it dangerous. They made it smelly. People have forgotten that, but back then they really were in experience. And also, Dissection John had just passed away, and Eric was very close. And it's kinda, you know, it's following in that Swedish way of having real melodies, catchy melodies, but also being extreme at the same time, which the Norwegians is very different chords. It's written different. So it was the right band at the right moment doing the right thing. What can I say? And the right image, the right attitude, and the sense of danger. No, classic band, classic band. People are they're being now a little bit disregarded by the new generation, but they will become classic again within a few years when metal is a cycle. St. Vitus was inexistent for 2 decades, and then people realized it was actually a cool band.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Okay, so thank you for joining us and for this great conversation. Michael Berberian was
Thank
our
you.
guest.